and we are going to move into the last topic of the show, college football-wise. And like I said at the beginning of the show, Brandon, this is my favorite thing to talk about as we come into a season. This year we're doing it before our previews. Last year we waited until after, but coaching hot seats, baby. Who's on the hot seat for the year coming into 2016? And just to get him out of the way, because I know he's going to be number one on yours, number one on mine, number one on you guys listening and watching at home, but Kevin Sumlin, he's the guy. He's number one on the hot seat. Just like to me last year when I said, and I know this is only a year, but last year, who did I say was the one coach that needed to go? I know there was a little bias in it from being my favorite team, but I said Tim Beckman. He went. Well, guess what? This year I'm saying Kevin Sumlin needs to go. Let's see if I go 2 for 2.
You know, Kevin Sumlin, we've talked about it. And yeah, he's definitely a guy who's on the hot seat just because of everything that we've talked about. But my first guy who I am putting on the hot seat, I'm not putting him there. It'd be his AD.
He's already there.
The guy who I see as being on the hot seat, and it could shock some people only because he's not been there long. Will Muschamp at South Carolina. And it's because he needs to win now. At Florida, he went 28-21 in 4 years. He was 17-15 against the SEC. That's not good. That's not good. And I think it's how many games does Muschamp need to win at South Carolina to get off the hot seat? Like, how many games is it? And, you know, I honestly think for me, 7. That's pretty solid for South Carolina.
If he wins 7 games, you'll be happy. Like, are we talking, let's say he wins all of his non-conference games, which I'll have to double check really quick if that's 4 or 3. Let's say it's 4. If he wins 4 of those, but then only wins 3 SEC games, is he still hot seat savable?
Yes. Yes, because if he wins of those 3, of the scenario you said, hold on.
I'm changing it.
Okay.
It's flip-flopped. He would need 3 non-conference wins because they only have 3 non-conference games. If he went 3 non-conference wins, 3-0 there, but then only won 4 SEC games.
Yeah, I think they'd be impressed. I think they'd be impressed with 4 SEC games.
You have to win 4 conference games, and they've got Mississippi State on the road. They've got Ricky's an idiot. Clemson is not in the SEC. They're so good, I thought they were. So back to the original because Ricky's stupid. 4 non-conference games, but they'll probably win 3 because Clemson's a loss. So then they would have to win 4 conference games. Ricky's an idiot. Let's just put it there. So they do have 4. Have 4.
Ricky's an idiot.
They do have 4, but Clemson's an automatic loss. Can we agree with that, especially at Clemson last week?
Duh.
Last week of the season?
Senior
night for Clemson. Senior night for Deshaun Watson. Yeah, that's a loss for South Carolina.
Yeah. No, but I just think I think really Will Muschamp, it's huge for him. Huge for him to do well in this year because they get him from Florida, and I really think that they expected more. And you have to expect more when you're playing in the SEC and against that conference. You have to expect more.
Well, and it's a murky situation, too, because you run yourselves into being like the Cleveland Browns in the NFL of basically chudding a guy, firing him after their first year in case you're too young to get the reference. But I'm gonna basically take your SEC guy and raise you another SEC guy, Mark Stoops. This is a guy that in 3 years with Kentucky, when he came in, younger brother of Bob Stoops, He's going to be a good guy for us to bring in. And he's basically has a ratio of 2 losses for every 1 win. And he's 4-20 in the SEC. And I know what you're saying, but Ricky's at Kentucky. They're a basketball school. Still, 2-10, 5-7, 5-7, and then 0-8, 2-6, 2-6 does not preach improvement within 3 years. And this one's the one that counts because when he came in, basically his recruits coming in that first class that was just his, now they're going to be juniors going into seniors next year.
You know, I think the thing is that so many, what you said, this is a basketball school, blah, blah, blah. They don't want to be just a basketball school.
No, they want the football team to be good.
They don't want to be just a basketball school. And so many people look at, you're just basketball. No, wrong attitude to have. That is why they need to win now, because he Stoops is on the hot seat for the fact that I think that it's been kind of let go. You know, that sport has kind of gone by the wayside because of the school that they are, because of Kentucky, basketball school, blah, 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 all this stuff about all the players. And now all of a sudden it's getting realized that, oh, crap, our football team sucks.
Well, and
Got to get better. But see, that's not necessarily his fault. It's almost like the school's fault, but he's got to be the one to change it.
There's one thing I do want to say, and this is just for last season. Last season, if you're already typing it, I'm going to say it right now, but this Kentucky team under Mark Stoops started out good last year. They were 4-1, their only loss being the 14-9 loss against Florida. They beat number 25 Missouri at home, which was like, whoa, how the hell did that happen?
Wasn't the final score 7-6?
21-13.
Which one was 7-6? I'm trying to think of what game that was. That was a game with Missouri, I think.
Yeah, I'm not looking. That had to be before because I'm looking at the schedule right now and they don't have any 7-6 games.
No, that must have been somebody else.
After they went 4-1, 1-6 and lost 5 straight right after that. They lost Auburn, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Georgia, Vanderbilt, all losses. Beat Charlotte, lost to Louisville. So that 4-1 start you had really just went down the shitter.
Yeah, that'll be something that sticks in your craw for quite some time.
And I mean, am I expecting Kentucky to do bad this season? Not necessarily, but this is a season where it's like, okay, Mark, shit or get off the pot. Are you going to be good or are you going to be bad? This season is going to prove it. And if you don't have I'm going to say he has to, in order to save his job, I'm looking at a Tim Beckman-like situation at Illinois. That year that Illinois went 6-6 and then went to the Heart of Dallas Bowl and got creamed by Lou Holtz's son and Louisiana Tech. That's what Kentucky needs. They need at least a 6-6 season. I don't care how you get there. You need 6 wins to save your job.
And the other guy that I have on the hot seat, again, I don't have him there. He's just there.
But you're
and
thinking
I'm
that he's a
shedding the light on it. Les Miles.
A guy that people would
Les
be
Miles,
like, let's put him in the dark. He's a great head coach.
Les Miles is on the hot seat because most people thought he was gone last year. And Les Miles, you will say how, and I will say how. How can I be putting a guy on the hot seat at 9-3, 5-3 in the SEC? I'll give you one reason. If for nothing else, I'll give you one reason. You can't beat Bama. The fucking end. You can't beat Alabama. And if you don't beat it, I'm calling, if you don't beat Alabama this year, you are fired. You are fired.
Could we say the same thing for Gus this year? Just for this year, if he doesn't beat Bama, could he be gone?
Not as big for Malzahn.
Because
not as big. Yet they have a bigger game, I feel like, because it's, the Iron Bowl and stuff like that.
And the only reason I asked that. But it's a bigger
game for Les Miles.
The only reason I asked that, and I know you have this up on your computer too, but coacheshotseat.com has Malzahn as the number 3 coach and Les Miles is the number 7 coach. That's why I throw that out there.
No, it's a good point. And I think that the fact that they have for Auburn and for Bama, they have a game that's named, named after them. Those two teams. How can you say that that's not bigger than, well, I just don't think so. I think it's bigger for Les Miles. I think it's bigger for Les Miles because of 2011, 2012. Mm-hmm. That's why. That is why. And I think that anyone who disagrees, understandable, but if Les Miles does not beat Alabama this year, it doesn't even matter if they come within 3 points. I don't think he sticks around if they can't beat Alabama. Because if he can't beat Alabama, he shows that you cannot beat the best and hang with the best in the SEC. We need the best. We want the best, and you're not it, and you're out.
Okay. I'm going to ask you before I go on to my next one. How many more do you have?
That's it.
Okay. I'm got done. One more that I want to talk about in a little bit of length. And then I've just got 2 that I want to throw out there and talk about in a little bit of length.
Well, then I'll say I've got one more just because I don't really have length to talk about them. But another one that I'm interested in, maybe one of yours too.
So here's the one that I'm going to throw out there that's kind of like my second to your Les Miles. Mike Riley, head coach in Nebraska. And you may be saying, but Ricky only had a year in Nebraska. What do you expect him to do? 6-7 last year, 3-5. If we look at the schedule, I mean, you look at some of their losses at Miami, at Illinois, Wisconsin, Northwestern, at Purdue, Iowa. 6-7 is not bad. You went to a bowl game and beat UCLA. However, I'm looking at you lost to Purdue. They suck. You lost to Northwestern. They sucked 2 years ago, so that could have been a shocker to some Big Ten people. And then you lost to Illinois by a point, 14-13. I mean, I was happier than a pig in slop, but it was one of those things where it was like, huh? Wait, we beat usually I'm used to the days of like Amir Abdullah running all over my team and losing. We beat Nebraska? Those 3 losses can't happen. He can have a 6-7 season and save his year. The thing is, you have to beat the teams you're expected to beat, especially if you're going into your second year. That was a first year for Mike Riley. So to me, that's why it's like, yeah, okay, you were 90-80 or 93-80 with the Oregon State Beavers. You were 58-63 in the Pac-10/Pac-12. But if you're losing to Illinois and Purdue consistently, we got a problem, and you got to get out the door, my friend.
No, I agree with you, and I think that it's all about. I think it's all about the losses. It's all about the losses.
Yep.
In this case, certainly about the losses. Not good.
I mean, at least he ended the season on a high note and beat Jim Mora and Josh Rosen in their bowl game. But before I throw out my 2 that I just want to throw out there for you guys at home, who's yours? Who's yours throw out there for the masses to kind of discuss in the comment section?
Well, for the masses, I'm going to throw out Todd Graham. I'm going to throw out Todd Graham from Arizona State. He's on the lower end. Like, I don't think his job's like really on the line, but he starts out 8-5 in his first year. Then I think he's 10-3 in his second year, 10-4 in his third year, and last year he goes 6-7. If we look at a 6-7 type season, or floating right around there again this year in the Pac-12, no, just not going to happen. Especially after having those 2 seasons in the middle where you go have 10 wins, and you win the South Division. Not gonna happen.
And he had a quarterback to work with Berkovici.
Yeah. So I think that I put Graham out there only because if we see another 6-7 season or something like that, things aren't going to go well for him.
Okay, I've got 2, and one of them I kind of feel sorry for because he's the coach of the Jayhawks. But number 1 is David Beatty. I know it was your first year last year, but fucking 0-12. I know it's Kansas. I know Kansas is bad. But you can't even beat South Dakota State week 1. You lost to an FCS school. The one type of school that most leagues are saying, I can't play them. Can't play them.
As Brian Kelly would say, another bye week.
Oh, you lost the bye week. That's the best way to put it. The other one and this one I'm expecting this one to either hit fans in either one way or another, and I'm hoping to start something with this. And I hope I get his last name right. Cliff Kingsbury with Texas Tech. Yeah, he went 8-5, 4-5 in his first year with the Red Raiders. Yeah, he was 7-6 last year. But over 3 years, you're a perfect 500 and you're 10-17 in the Big 12. When are you going to turn the corner and say, you know what? This Texas Tech team under me is going to compete with the big dogs in the Big 12? Or are you just going to say, yeah, I'm the guy that recruits your son and the mom's hit on me? That's who I am. Because I look like Ryan Gosling. He looks like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, I can see the little bit of a similarity. But the thing is, you're in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. Your offense has to score points. If you can't score points, if you play defense, you're screwed because you're really in the wrong conference, because the Big 12 could care less about any defense. But you've got to be able to score. And going 10-17 in the Big 12, it's not going to do it. So,
and the big
he's got to turn that offense around this year. He's got to turn it on.
And the big thing for this year that I think needs to be taken into consideration when it comes to Texas Tech is if Baylor comes out this year and doesn't play too well because of everything that we've been talking about with Baylor being in the news of late, you got to be able to pounce on that. You got to be able to say, hey, let's win some games now. Let's turn that corner because this team's on the decline. You can't pull the argument of, oh, well, we're not there because there's no room for us up there. There might be some room at the top of the Big 12 this year that you can sneak into the bottom of that top.
We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Big 12 is going to be interesting this year, I think, because of I think it's going to be interesting only because of you see a team like Oklahoma. They have kind of solidified themselves now as the top dog. Oklahoma State was really trying hard last year. How do they come back this year? All those types of things, and who's going to be the new dog and the pitbull out of that conference. It's going to be fun to watch.
Well, I asked you this last week, and you hit me with an absolute gem, so I'm going to ask you again this week. Anything we missed? Anything you feel we need to add before we wrap up this podcast?
Nothing we missed, I don't think. But
no Jennifer Aniston news this week?
No, but a thing to add was, I thought when you started off one of the last sentences that you said when you were talking about Kingsbury, hey, and I thought you were going to go, huh. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. That's what I thought you were going to do.
1, 2. Yeah, that's a good song.
I just wanted to, especially when, Jackie Chan is doing it. Oh, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
There's your pop culture reference of the week from Brandon Swanson. But that is going to do it for the Primetime Podcast this week. Let us know down below in the comment section, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud, what you think of anything we talked about today. Go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button on the YouTube, repost, and heart on SoundCloud. Go ahead, follow us on Twitter. Brandon is at @young_swan. I am at Ricky Widmer. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Go check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. It's for you guys who want to support us a little bit extra than hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you give us at least $1, you get an exclusive podcast. Brandon was on the one that's going to come out at the end of this week when we hit July. So be sure you get a hold of that one. I want to thank you guys for either watching on YouTube, listening on SoundCloud, making us a part of your day. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter @MostValuablePod for more great podcasts.